All right, is this thing on? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, what am I talking about today? Well, it's pretty late for me already. It's dark out. It's dark and stormy. It was a dark and stormy night. It's raining. I had an interesting trip getting home today just because it was rainy and windy and waves and blah, blah, blah. And I got home way later than I was planning to, and it was in the dark. Anyway, I got home, made some dinner, ate it, and now I'm ready to do this. Okay, what am I going to talk about right now? Well, I thought about something, but I didn't really get to think about it that much, so this might come out kind of all over the place, but here goes. So I don't usually pay attention to the news. I don't know what's going on, in the world most of the time. I get little tidbits here and there, but generally speaking, I don't listen to the news or watch the news or anything, right? But there's been a lot of news going on in Panama where I live, right? So people have been sending me links. Hey, whoa, check this out. Look at this. So, I click on some of them and I watch a bit of the news. Oh my God, the news is horrible. And I know why I stopped paying attention to the news, but it's just gotten worse and worse. So the news is basically problems. Oh my God, there's problems everywhere, over here, over there. There's worldwide problems and huge problems all over the place. There's problems, and you need to be, oh my God, worked up about it. There's so many problems. That's what the news is like. That's what it feels like to me when I watch the news. It's like everything is alarmist, everyone's dying, the world's ending, everything's a problem, And there are a lot of reasons why this is. It's because people watch that kind of stuff because it's exciting when everything's falling apart. And also it distracts people from what they should really be paying attention to. Now, after watching some of this news, I just found my brain dwelling on this stuff. For like the rest of the day, for like a day and a half, I'm just like, my brain kept just like spending all its time thinking about everything other than where I am. And I kept being like, this is irritating because I'm not paying attention to myself. I have like half the patience I normally do for my kids. I'm like not doing a good job at anything. I'm like halfway here because my brain is thinking about all this garbage other places, all this other, oh my God, stuff out in the world. And the problem is that when your brain is on that stuff, you're not paying attention to what's present. You're not paying attention to the world where you can actually do things. The immediate world around you, the real life, like the things you can touch and actually have an effect on. When you're thinking about all these like worldwide problems and stuff that the news is telling you about, these horrible situations, you got to pay attention to this. What it's doing is it's taking your attention away from where you can actually affect things and saying, pay attention to the stuff that you can't do anything about, which is the opposite of what everyone should be doing. And an example of this that I've talked about before, maybe not necessarily in this kind of framework, but I've talked about how I hate the term, I hate the overuse of the term, global warming and climate change and, anything like that, where it's like presenting a problem as a worldwide problem. And then it's always talked about in a way where it's this big, huge problem now of the planet. And it's big and huge and out there. But if people started talking about things in smaller ways, instead of saying there's this global problem that you can't really do anything about, but pay attention to it because that will distract you from doing anything you like doing in your real life. If instead people were told, hey, you know what? Okay, we've got all these pollution problems and all kinds of whatever, but we fix that by doing a good job in your everyday life. So be where you are, do your thing, think about how much garbage you're making. Think about how much energy you're wasting. Is there anything you can do in your everyday life to make improvements? That's how we change the world. But we're told with all this news all the time to not think about where we are or what we're doing. And this is how people are controlled. Because when your mind is out there on all this other stuff, you're not paying attention to where you are and what you're doing. You're very easy to control. And this is like just basic propaganda. This is the basic propaganda that the internet has taken to like a massively ridiculous level, because people are constantly on their phone or on their tablet or on their computer, just constantly getting this stuff that's taking their mind off what they're doing, off their life, and just putting it other places. And then since they're not paying attention, they're just open to just being told, do this, think this, behave this way, go this way, buy that, do this. And people, since they're not even paying attention to what they're doing, their mind is out there. They're just like, oh, okay, I'll just do this and this and this. And man, it's like, you know, I paid attention to the news just for a little bit, and like that's where my mind started going. You know, luckily I was like, what the hell? This is horrible. I gotta stop this. So turn off the news. Like I know enough about the world, and there are all kinds of problems, blah, blah, blah. Let me be here. What can I do here to make the world right here around me better than it is? And that's how we make the world better, you know? You don't make the world better by thinking about people on the other side of the planet who should be doing better, or this problem that you can't do anything about, but you can complain about it on the internet or grumble to people. No, the way you make the world a better place is you think about where you are and what you're doing, and do a good job wherever you are, whatever you're doing. All right. I don't know if that came out cohesive at all, but what else is going on? All right. Wait, let me see what's going on with you guys. Hey Jeff, what's going on? Joseph the Dreamer, present and accounted for. Hey Joe Blow, what's going on? Reed, how's it going, man? We have that in common. I stopped watching the news a long time ago, but you can't help but be aware of it at some level. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm aware enough. Like I don't feel like I need to pay attention to the news. Like I know there are all kinds of stupid problems. Like I get the picture, you know. I get the big picture. So once you get the big picture, there isn't really any point in watching the news anymore. It's all just details of this problem that's there. How do you beat the problem that's there? And the problem that's there is basically that people aren't paying attention to their everyday lives and doing a better job where they are when they could, you know, and just people are being basically controlled, like led around by sociopaths who want to have power and run other people's lives, which I think is a terrible thing. I mean, the leadership we have in the world today it's not actual leadership. Like the way leadership is thought of today is not a responsibility. Like people don't think of being a leader as a responsibility, but that's what it is. Being a leader is a massive responsibility. But people today think being a leader is like this great privilege. Like being in charge means you're somehow better. Like you've got some status, which is just idiotic. It's the dumbest thing. But that's how we're running our society right now, is ranking everyone by where they are in this leadership hierarchy, which is so stupid. It's so dumb. Leadership should not be something that people seek. You don't want to be in charge of people and all this stuff, because it's a pain in the ass. You don't like yeah. If you actually want to be a real leader, you don't want the job, because you know that it's just piles of responsibility. You might do it because you know someone has to do it, but a real leader does not run into that leadership position and say, "Ha, it's mine." No, a real leader goes into that leadership position saying, "All right, I gotta take care of this. This is gonna be difficult." But yeah, anyway. All right, I'm kind of going all over the place a little bit here. Roger Mounts, how's it going, man? So just what could I be doing? John Holman, that is the first question you should be asking yourself. presuming you're talking about like what could I be doing in my everyday life, in my own world to make it a better place? That's where you start. You start with the question, what could I be doing? What could I do to make my world a better place, to make the world a better place around me? Not in Egypt, unless you're in Egypt, but not in some part of the world where you don't live and some stuff you have nothing to do with. No, how can you make the world better where you can actually have an effect, where you can have the most effect? And that's the world directly around you. Start with your own house, your own yard, your neighbors, the environment around you, the people around you. That's like figure out what you can do locally to make the world a better place. And that's the perfect question to ask. What can I do? And then you got to think about it. It might take a lot of thinking. Turn off your computer, turn off your tablet and your phone and everything. Put it away. You know, instead of watching garbage movies until 4 a.m., turn all that crap off and just spend an hour or two in the evening just thinking, you know, what could I do better? What could I do better in the world? How can I make the world around me a better place? How can I make myself better? Because if I make myself better, I'll be able to do a better job of making the world better. Like it's all connected, you know? Anyway, that's the perfect question to ask. I love that you asked that question. So just what could I be doing? Keep asking that question and ask yourself that question, not other people. Oh, my crazy computer crashed when I tried to load the Jaimie. Ah, yes, it wasn't sufficiently crazy for me. My mind is out there most of the day, unfortunately. Yeah, man, bring your mind back. Get your mind back in focus. And so, you know, when I built my house here, I spent a year I went on the internet maybe 2 or 3 times. Like after a few months, I was like, well, let me just check my email to see if I have any important messages. And because I hadn't checked in months, it was just like this huge list. So while I was building my house, if anyone emailed me, sorry. But for that most of that year, I didn't go online. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have any information coming. I was focused on what I was doing, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It's really cool. And you know, a lot of the best experiences I've had have been out in nature beyond the signal, you know, where there's no phone service and there's no wires running in there. You're just there. And the reason I've had such good experiences, besides, you know, being in nature, and I've done a lot of cool projects that I liked and stuff, but a lot of it was that I was fully present. I was there. There was nothing else to do. There was no being distracted by the murders in Calcutta or, you know, I don't know, pollution over here or whatever. It's like, no, I'm here and I don't know what else is going on in the world. So I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing here and do my best right here. And those are the best experiences. Let's see, true dat. Thanks, Dustman. Have you ever seen videos of chimps scrolling Instagram on a smartphone? It looks like most people nowadays. I think the chimps are smarter, actually. I don't know. Do they? Don't give chimps that. Let them live their lives, man. Yeah. Grow where you are planted. Yeah, man. Okay, so that reminds me of like one of the sayings I say a lot, which is that the grass is greenest where you cultivate it. You know, people always say, you know, the grass is greener over there, the grass is greener over there. The grass always looks greener on the other side because it always looks greener somewhere else. But in reality, the grass is greenest where someone is taking care of it. So take care of your damn grass and you will have the greenest grass. And if no one's taking care of the grass, there's not going to be green grass anywhere. You know, metaphorically and literally, I guess. Perfect analogy, the movie Idiocracy. Oh man, Idiocracy. What a beautiful movie and like almost unwatchable. Yeah, well, you know, when the movie Idiocracy first came out, if anyone hasn't seen the movie Idiocracy, I'm not going to say too much about it. You should watch it. Although it doesn't have the same effect now. Because when I originally watched the movie Idiocracy, it was like, whoa, that's crazy. How, nah, that's so far out there. And then like 10 years go by, and it's like, well, that doesn't seem that weird now. I mean, that's kind of not that unusual. And then another 10 years go by, and it's just like, well, that's just the world. We're like one step away from that, you know. Oh, it's funny. I wonder if you made another Idiocracy movie now, what it would look like, because it would have to. Anyway, does look things are crazy in Panama right now with the roads closed and talk of the airport shutting down. Another YouTube channel down there is shutting down their coffee business till things improve. Using Starlink to stream. I do not have Starlink, no. Let's see. Evening, Jaimie. How goes the projects and how's the family? Okay, the projects are going pretty well, actually. My family's good. I love my kids, and they're actually not here tonight for the first time in quite a while, actually. Which is weird. But yeah, they're great. Okay, my projects that I've been working on. Well, one thing I'm really excited about, I already made a video about this. I made a live about it a few days ago, is on one of my boats, I made a new propeller, and I think I got it like really close to like the optimum propeller, because the performance is really good. I'm sure it could still be tweaked to be better, but it is really good, you know. So that's always exciting when you're playing around with something over the years, and you know, every once in a while you make a modification, and then at some point it's like, ooh, I think that's it. I think that's really close to like optimal, you know. Of course, if someone came with some computerized nonsense, they could be like, oh, this could be 4% more efficient, whatever. Also, you know, I've been doing a lot of digging, and the digging's been going well. My elbow is a little sore though, right there. Oh, I got like tennis elbow. Yeah, like right there, I got tennis elbow. But it's not too bad. It's all right. Okay, I'm going to talk about a project that I want to do that came up because, okay, I got to back up a little bit. So I want to build a new giant robot, right? I mean, that's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm getting close enough that I'm starting to like really think about like steps toward next giant robot. So I started coming up with some designs, and I was like, ooh, there's a really cool thing. I want to make a prototype of that. So then I was like, I need to get a 3D printer. And I talked about this a couple times. I haven't bought a 3D printer yet, but I'm going to get one I'm going to get one before the next container comes to here. Because I always order stuff from the States, and they're like, there's a container service I use. So, you know, everything goes on a container, you know, a whole bunch of different people's packages and stuff. And then it comes like once a month or two, depending. And I have a couple weeks before the next one leaves. So sometime in the next week or so, I'll order a 3D printer. But anyway, I was looking at 3D printers, and I think I'm gonna get an Ender 3. If anyone cares. But the company that makes the 3D printer also makes laser cutters. And I just kind of saw it accidentally, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So yeah, I used to have a laser cutter, and it was like this giant box, and it was super complicated, and you had to have all this water cooling stuff, and this it was complicated. And you know, it had a glass tube laser and stuff. And I see these new laser cutters, they've just got like a little laser module. It's like some super duper, like high focus, super bright LED deal or something. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's like just a little compact thing. And since it's just a little compact thing, it doesn't need all these mirrors to bounce the laser around and stuff. Because before, the laser was huge, so it had to have all these mirrors to bounce the laser around. Now it's just like the whole machine is way smaller and more compact, and they're cheaper. And so now I'm trying to convince a company to send me one of these things, one of these laser cutters, these little laser cutters. And what I want to do with it is I want to make I want to make like spider tank. That's at least the first thing I want to do with it. I'll do other stuff with it. But several years ago, I made these robot toys called, they were marketed in the stores as arachnids, and I always called them spider tanks. But anyway, right before I was dealing with this toy company, and we worked together and got them in stores and everything. But right before that, I was working on making laser cut versions, like laser cut kits of these robot toys, so that I could, laser cut out a bunch of parts, throw them in a box, send them to someone, and they could put them together. And also, I could just send out the actual plans. So if anyone else has a laser cutter, they could laser cut it out and make one of these robots. Well, that got kind of put aside because I was doing the thing with the toy company. But now I want to do that again, because I was almost finished, like the second version. Like I even made one. Like I made the first prototype of one of these laser cut robots, and one of you guys got it. I don't know you guys who's specifically watching this, but like a YouTube fan ended up with it. But I was just going through like the second version, like you're cleaning up all the edges and stuff, and kind of like tweaking it and perfecting it and stuff. And then I started working with this toy company. So I have this almost perfected spider tank laser cut design that I want to build now. And I want to get a laser cutter and make one, and then just give out the design so anyone who has a laser cutter can make it. And I'm trying to convince a company. Well, I've written to 2 companies so far, but I'm trying to convince some company to send me one of these for free, and I'll show it in the videos as I'm doing the stuff. Give it a little review, use it in the project and everything. So give them some advertising. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of excited about that, because that was one of those projects where I was pretty excited about it, and I was getting to the point where I was in the final stages of just the perfecting of it, and then I ended up going in a different direction. And that's something I've always left. It's like a loose end I left, a really cool loose end that I'd like to finish. Hey, Jaimie, I went to your tree house in Vermont. You're a genius, dude. Well, thanks, man. There probably is. Okay. Jaimie, my wife and I think you don't catch or eat fish. You put a question mark. Are you telling me you don't think that, or are you asking me? I've made a couple of videos where I caught and ate fish. I don't have any video of me actually catching a fish, because it's kind of hard to, use a spear and hold the camera at the same time. At some point, I'll go diving with a friend and get them to have the camera, and hopefully they'll have a camera going at the time when I actually shoot a fish. But I have shown fish that I shot. Last week I shot a pretty big fish, about like that with a spear gun. That one I didn't get in video at all. But there's some videos down there of fish I've caught. Nothing spectacular, but yeah. And yes, I do catch and eat fish. Yeah. Believe it or not, you don't have to believe it. I don't care. How is the running track progressing, Jaimie? Well, there's actually 2 running tracks. There's a running track outside and a running track inside. You're probably talking about the running track upstairs. Oh, I haven't started building it yet. I'm getting pretty close to, starting to cut the wood for it. The thing is, a lot of people have been impatient about me building my 2nd and 3rd floor, because the way most people live, if they want to build something out of wood, they just order the wood or go to the store and buy it or whatever. Like you just get the wood that day. Blam, done. You just pay the wood, pay the money, get the wood. But the way I'm doing it is I built the lumber mill. I've made a path to get to logs. I've got that path pretty good now. I could go to my jungle now and find a good log and get it out of the jungle. I'm still not entirely sure how I'm going to move like a 4,000-pound log or whatever, though. But I'll figure that out as I go. I don't know how much the logs will actually weigh either, but like heavier than I can just light. I can't just pick up like a big log and throw it over my shoulder or something. But yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start cutting the wood pretty soon. And pretty soon, I don't know, it depends on the weather. A lot of it depends on the weather, because I always have a few different projects going that I can work on when it's raining or when it's sunny or when it's overcast. Like I'll have a few different projects that I'll work on whichever one happens to work out with the weather or works out with things that have come in, materials or whatever. And then there's also my energy level. Like some days I'll be like, oh, I could work on that, but I'm just too tired. Like I need to do something where I'm going to use less energy and where I'm going to be in my house so I can eat more and catch up. And other days I'll be like, wow, I feel like I've got a lot of energy. I've been eating really well, and I've been saving up some energy. I can go out and do some really hard work. So yeah, what soon is, I'm not entirely sure. Joseph the Dreamer, you have only been on YouTube for a month. Are you really sure? Jaimie is not affected as much as he uses no gas. Oh yeah, so about the protests and stuff in Panama, they haven't had a huge effect on me because, yeah, one thing is I don't use gasoline for anything except my chainsaw, but I don't use my chainsaw that often, and I can easily just not use it. But that's been the big thing for people around here, is they can't get gas. So that's the number one thing people are complaining about. Like there's no gas deliveries, trucks can't get through and whatever. And then there's no propane. So gas and propane. Today there was food. There was food at the stores today. See? Oh, isn't that a good looking pepper? Oh, look at that guy. That's good looking stuff. Anyway, yeah, the stores seem to have food and everything. It's just fuel, gasoline and propane. That's the big things people are complaining about, and I don't use either. So my life has not changed significantly. But yeah, there's some other little shortages at the stores. Like, I don't know though. Well, today I wanted to get eggs, and the guy was like, oh man, we're almost out. But he still had some, so I bought some eggs. I bought 30 eggs. But it was almost out. But I don't know. It hasn't had a huge effect on me yet. Also, although I did kind of stock up on a bunch of food, like jars of peanut butter, and like I got some canned meat just in case, like some non-perishable stuff. I got a little stockpile of peanuts. I already have peanuts. Of course, I just talked about peanuts and peanut butter. Apparently we eat a lot of peanuts here. But yeah, I kind of made sure I have lots of food right now, because I don't know what's going to happen with the protests and stuff. But yeah, everything's going fine. Also, unless I missed the video, did you ever complete the dragon scales on the roof? No, I haven't. Because like the roof doesn't leak that much, so it hasn't been a priority. It's like there's one leak kind of over there, and then I don't know. Yeah, there are a couple little leaks around, but nothing a couple drips. And I know where they are, so there's just nothing there. There'll be a little wet spot on the floor, and it just hasn't been a major issue. Like I have other things that are higher priority than finishing the roof, I guess. Although I do want to finish it. Of course, now I've left it for long enough that I've kind of lost momentum on it. So, at some point I'll go do it again. And one of the things is, so I have this wood kind of scaffolding ladder thing going up the side of the dome. So my roof is like a 2-story tall dome, like it's this big dome. And I made some scaffolding ladderish kind of thing, a wood thing that goes up the side. And now it's been sitting there unused for long enough that I don't entirely trust it. So like it might have rotted, and yeah, I feel like I need to make a new one, just start from scratch and make a new thing. And I can do a better job now too, because before I was making it, I made the scaffolding just as high as I needed it, and then I added another piece, and then added another piece, so it's kind of this Frankenstein together thing. So when I want to do the roof again, I'll make some nice scaffolding, and I'll just get it all done probably pretty quickly after that. Of course, that is one of the jobs that really is very weather dependent, because I can't put thin concrete on the roof on a sunny day because it's just going to dry out before it gets to cure. I can't do it when it's rainy, obviously, because it's just going to wash away before it cures. So it has to be on a cloudy day that's not raining. So, but anyway, yeah, I'll get to that. It's just not a big priority. John says, thanks for that. You're welcome. I'm not sure what I did or if you're even talking to me, but cool. Let's see. No, you guys quit having arguments. No. I've been seeing you for a long time now. I remember your robot videos in your old land in the US and the boat. How old are your kids now? Well, 3, 5, 11, and 13, I think. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. I think that's about right. Will your containers be delivered with the protests going on? I don't know. I think the container will make it. There are protests going on, but I've also been paying attention a little bit to know enough that people have been getting in and out. I mean, people are still traveling. It's just, I don't know what the exact deal is. Like things are getting through, and like food is getting to the stores in town, and a bunch of propane and gas made it the other day. Of course, people immediately bought it all, which is why it's run out again. But yeah, things are getting through. The container might get delayed, but I don't think it's going to get stuck. But I mean, if it gets stuck, eventually it'll make it. I don't know. And that's the container's not coming for a few weeks anyway. So if it leaves, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks from now, it's going to be in transit from the United States to Panama for, I don't know, a couple weeks before it gets here. So it's probably not going to get here for like a month, And maybe by that time, everything will be sorted out. I don't know. I'm working on a solar van with 51.2 kilovolt hour LiFePO4 battery. Well, that's pretty cool. You got plenty of fish too. Well, you don't know how many fish I have. I mean, there are some fish. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to find fish that I consider worth killing. Like I don't want to go get a bunch of little fish. Like I would rather get one bigger fish that'll feed my whole family than go kill like 6 little fish for a lot of reasons, yeah, you can fill in the blanks on that, I think. And around here, things are a little bit overfished, unfortunately, partly because people use fishing nets, like gill nets. And gill nets are these nets you put out and fish swim into them and get their gills caught and basically die. And these gill nets are huge. Like they'll put it out like as a big circle where fish swim through. And just everything goes in there and gets killed. And then you'll see people, and you're not supposed to use these nets, by the way, but people just do anyway. But then, I'll see them pulling the net up and just throwing away like 3/4 of the fish that they just killed and didn't even want because they're too lazy to. It's really irritating. But that's the situation. How do caiman taste like chicken? I don't know. I've never eaten a caiman. I haven't seen any caiman here. I know they're here because people people talk about seeing them, and I've seen at least one dead one. I might have seen a caiman alive at some point. I don't know, but I don't really see them. Time to buy chickens. Avoid the sketchy egg supply. Is the egg supply getting sketchy? You should try building a pyramid. Like what kind of pyramid? Like why? For what? I kind of like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. What's it for? I like domes a lot, in case you didn't notice. That's pretty obvious at this point. Jaimie, your moderator is a bit aggressive. Phil, are you okay? Phil, are you okay? Well, I don't know. Well, Joseph, you did tell me that you don't think I eat fish, but it was confusing because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna move on. How much money would you say one would need to get set up in Bocas del Toro nowadays? Depends what you want to do. Totally depends on a lot of things, like how you want to live, where you want to live. Yeah, how you want to live and where you want to live. Totally changes what it would cost by a factor of like 100. Well, maybe not 100. More than 10 though. Like you could come here with $10,000 and get set up. Buy a piece of land, a little cheap piece of land, make a little house. You'd be doing it all yourself. And that would be pushing it, but it's possible, On the other hand, if you wanted to come live in a really particular place where the land prices are going to be way more, or maybe you want, I don't know, something specific that's going to cost more. Your land could cost much more. And then if you want to hire people to build your house and do everything, and you want like all the stuff that you had in the suburbs, you could spend $250,000 easily and still not be satisfied. Like, yeah, it totally depends what you want to do. Make charcoal. You can also, if you wanted to live here, the cheapest way would probably be on a sailboat. Although on a sailboat, you're not really going to be able to grow food or have chickens and stuff, unless it's a pretty big boat. I don't know. Yeah, it is nice having a piece of land, because then you can become self-sufficient and you don't really need money at that point. Although if you live on a boat, you can go fishing and eat lots of fish. So yeah, it really just depends who you are. Hug it out, dude. Make charcoal. I do make charcoal. I, in fact, just made some. I had some pizza and I cooked it on a wood fire and made some charcoal. I think it says designed. I think it's supposed to say designed. I designed a pyramid 1 mile square and 1/2 mile high. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means. Like you thought in your head, boy, I could make a pyramid shape that's like 1 mile by 1/2 mile. I can even draw it on a computer. Or are you saying like you I don't know what that means. On dragon scale, maybe you can focus on top floor a bit and then work on the roof from the top when it's more available from up there. Well, the top floor has nothing to do with putting tiles on top of the roof. Like when I'm on top of the roof, it doesn't matter what's inside the house. I can't even see it. I have nothing to do with it. So yeah, that doesn't really affect whether or not I can do the tiles. Wait, where are you, Bill? I'd love to come help. Wait, it's about Bill who designed a giant pyramid. We are not talking about fishing, are we? I don't know. Well, you guys are being weird today and cryptic, and I don't know what's going on. Biogas, did you ever get enough time to test it out? Okay, my fart machine, the biogas digester, whatever, it's got a little gas leak. And I'm pretty sure I know where it is. It's like the one spot I didn't seal. I hope it's there anyway, because otherwise I'm gonna have to check all the spots that I glued shut. But So it has to have an airtight chamber, right, to make this methane and not let it escape. And I glued the lid on this big plastic tank, and then I have a PVC pipe coming out to a valve, and all that should be airtight. But the PVC part that goes through the water tank, I just wasn't thinking about it before. But when I went to open the thing and there was like no gas pressure, I was like, wait a minute, there's got to be a leak somewhere, because there was a little bit of gas pressure when I first put it in, like when I first put that pipe on, but it lost the pressure pretty quickly. And then I realized, oh, this PVC pipe that goes through the tank at the top doesn't have to be watertight at all. There's no reason it would ever need to be watertight. So there's no reason that the factory guys would have made it watertight, right? So I just need to seal that. And it should be fine. I hope that's what the issue is. But the thing is, like I cook on a wood fire, and I like cooking on a wood fire, partly because I get charcoal and I can use the charcoal in the gardens and stuff. And another one is that it makes a bit of smoke. And whenever I'm cooking, there are no bugs, like anywhere. And the bugs aren't that bad here anyway, but in the early morning and in the evening, like when the sun's coming up and when the sun's coming down, that's when these little buggers come out. And that's when I often cook either breakfast or dinner. So it works out well. I make a bit of smoke, all the bugs disappear, and then I basically never have a bug problem. So it's kind of nice cooking with wood for that reason. I've eaten caiman before. It tastes like ox, is not at all like chicken. I see. Yeah, I haven't tried caiman yet. Mr. Landville says, I'm okay. I'm glad you're okay, Mr. Landville. Purpose of a pyramid is just a big tomb, right? I don't know. That's a rabbit hole. You could go look that up on the internet. Purpose of a pyramid, and man, you could spend the next week pulling your hair out. The locals want to gouge you on the price of land. So become friends with them. That's the answer to that. That's what I did. I became friends with people around here, and then suddenly they were offering me land that was way cheaper than what was previously available. And I think a lot of it is, and I understand this because I feel the same way, people who live in a place don't want someone to come in and throw up some giant resort. Like, if someone came and offered me $1 million for some piece of land that I have, I'd be like, I mean, $1 million would be great, but I don't really want, whatever you're going to do with this overpriced piece of land, like some giant resort disaster monstrosity. So I mean, if you go to a place, like I would recommend, if you want to go to some place and live there, go live there for a while first. Meet people, let them know, what you want to do. And I told people, I want to buy some land and build my own house and grow some food and do all the stuff. And then people were like, oh, well that's cool, because a lot of people come here and they want to throw up these giant resorts and just like piss money all over the place, and it's just a disaster, and it just makes piles of garbage and it's noisy and obnoxious. But if you just want to come, like, live a happy life and just chill, yeah, we'll sell you land for the local price, Don't fish in London, stand in the river. Oh, man, you guys got to work on your typos. I'm not even sure what you're saying. Oh, barbecued iguana. Iguana is supposed to taste kind of like chicken. I've never had it, but I've been told around here that it tastes like chicken, and people actually refer to iguanas as tree chicken around here, which is kind of funny. Okay, let me read this again. John Paul, don't fish in London, stand in the river Thames. Oh God, I don't know. Are you talking about the River Thames? I don't know. Hi there. While you were talking about Idiocracy, do you know the anime Ghost in the Shell from the 80s? Yes, of course I know Ghost in the Shell. For some reason, when you asked me about that, I just thought of the scene where they figured out that there was someone sneaking around with like an invisibility suit, and it was because the elevator had more weight in it than the people they could see. So there was apparently an invisible person in the elevator, adding more weight. I don't know why that particular scene just popped into my head. How often, if ever, do you end up bartending your skills? Oh, bartering your skills to neighbors. I don't really barter my skills. If I'll just help people. Like a while ago, some guy asked if I could help set up his solar panels and stuff, and I was like, yeah. So I just went and spent the morning putting his wires together. I didn't use any materials of my own. I brought a couple tools, but they didn't get used up. And so he's like, what do I owe you? I'm like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. Like I didn't have to use anything up. It doesn't cost me. It cost me a couple hours, whatever. And so he gave me a bunch of stuff off his trees. Monkey tails. What do you call it? Well, what are those things called? Ice cream bean. He gave me a bunch of ice cream beans, which my kids love. So that was great. So I guess we sort of bartered then, but yeah, usually if someone I know asks me to help them with something, and I can help them with it, I just do it, and then I hope at some point, they would help me in the future, which often is not the case, but that's the world I want to live in, so that's what I try to do. And there's a saying in some Spanish-speaking countries that goes something like, what's it? Today you, tomorrow me, which means, like I'll help you today, and some point in the future, I hope someone will help me when I need help. Like you just help people when you can. That's the way I try to do things, which is contrary to most of the culture around me, whatever. About buying land, are there still good livable islands on the market that are reasonably priced? On the market, or you mean that could be bought? I would say on the market, I mean, maybe, but probably not. However, if like I could go around and ask people around here, and I've done this for a couple other people who've come here to live, just ask around, say, this person wants to live here. Is there any land or an island that you know of that you have that you sell or that you know of, and just talking to people, and then something pops up, and it might be a week later or a month later, but yeah, I would say there are deals to be had if you are willing to like take a chance. You got to take a chance. You can't just sit at home and be like, what's the deal? Give me the best deal, and then let me know all the information before I do anything. No, you gotta put some effort into it first. That's how you get the good deal. And there's no guarantee you'll get a good deal, but you probably get a good deal. Do you have any regrets? I mean, I have plenty of regrets. I don't know. Or do you miss any of your life in the U.S.? I don't miss any of my life in the U.S. except for the garbage. The garbage in the U.S. was amazing. Oh my God. Like I remember one day I was walking around Manhattan. No, it was Brooklyn. I was walking around Brooklyn, and I was just visiting a friend. I'm not real big on big cities, but I would visit friends in the city once in a while. And I'm walking around Brooklyn, and it's garbage day, which is like all the time. And that day, just like walking a couple blocks, I found like a brand new skateboard, which I had for like 5 years after that. I found a bow and arrow. It was like brand new, just and then like all kinds of other stuff that I didn't take because I was like, well, I got the skateboard and a bow and arrow. I can take more stuff. I'm good, But yeah, the garbage in the United States is amazing. I mean, it's a two-sided thing. It's cool because like you can find all kinds of free stuff in the garbage, which is amazing. But it's also like terrible that stuff is just being trashed at such an unbelievable rate. Like it's a bad thing. So overall, I'd rather not have that. But it was cool to be able to get, free stuff. It was kind of like just having some Christmas. Oh, it's garbage day. Oh, let's go. It's Christmas. Let's go see what's out there and just go walk around and see what brand new stuff people have thrown out because they're too spoiled and got bored of it in 30 seconds. Mojo says, I'm late. I'm late too. I was like hours late. How important is knowing Spanish in Panama? Well, it depends what you want to do. If you only want to talk to gringos, then there are plenty of people who don't know Spanish at all, but it is very useful. It's very valuable to have at least decent Spanish if you want to deal with like local people at all. So, even if your Spanish isn't great, if you put the effort in to using your mediocre Spanish, and my Spanish is not great. I have a pretty good accent though. So often I'll start talking to someone in Spanish and they'll think they'll think I understand pretty good Spanish, but I can speak a lot more than I understand, which I've heard is the opposite to what a lot of people can do. But yeah, I can say a lot more than I can understand. So people will just talk to me at like full speed Espanol, and I'm like, repetirlo más despacio, por favor, which is, can you say that? Repeat that slower, please. But yeah, it's not, you don't have to know Spanish, but it is very useful. How is all the foam concrete holding up? Has any of it crumbled? No, it's holding up great. Even the parts that I haven't coated, like where it's just bare styrocrete showing. The whole domed roof on the inside doesn't have any mortar on it or anything. It's just the styrocrete, and it looks like it did when I just put it up. Like no noticeable difference. So yeah, it's holding up really well. Let's see. How much did you pay for your land in Vermont? I live nearby and want to do a similar thing, but everything looks super expensive. I paid $12,500 for my land in Vermont for 25 acres, but it was cheap because there was no road access. So if you want to find cheap land, there's often some catch. So you just have to find the land that has the catch that you're okay with. And I was totally comfortable not having road access. I actually liked walking up into the woods, and then it eventually did make a road anyway. Don't mention fishing, trigger warning. Ugh, I don't care. Wait. Okay, I don't know. I do fish. I don't know. Are you having a problem right now? How's the garden project going? So the funny thing about the garden project, so I have all this stuff growing in places where I didn't put any effort into it. And where I did put effort and churned up all the dirt and mixed in charcoal and mixed in like leaves and compost and stuff, nothing is growing there, like nothing. But like right down here, I've got this huge thing of banana trees that's been making all my bananas. And it's just, I just put a banana tree there and it was like the right spot or something, And I have a couple avocado trees over that way. They're not making avocados yet because they still have a few years, but they're growing amazingly well. The leaves are going crazy. They look super healthy, and they're just I don't know. They're just over there. I didn't do anything to the dirt. It's just I planted avocado trees all over the place, by the way, but these two were just in the right spot. So I don't know. On this island, yeah, I seem to have no control over what will grow where. So I just plant stuff everywhere, and I'll plant like the same plant 10 different times, and like one or two of them will do amazing. So I just kind of plant stuff everywhere and see what works where. Now, I have another property where I want to build this campsite I was talking about before, where I want to have the adventure builder meeting. Oh, I should mention that. So I want to have an adventure builder meeting here the week of May 3rd next year, 2024. And I want to have this campsite set up so people can come and stay in like little cabins or tents, if you bring your own tent or whatever. But the land over there is amazing because I was digging around a little bit, and the topsoil, just a bug on my back. The topsoil is like, it's like good topsoil. It's like fluffy and dark, looks amazing. So I'm excited to start planting things over there. Let's see. I designed 1 light year by 1 light year pyramid. Okay. I went on vacation to London, England, and it was more like a holiday in Afghanistan, really. I don't know how. I don't know what you mean by that, but cool. I could build a pyramid. Theo problem is getting the stones there. Oh, the problem is getting the stones there, yeah. Don't ever go to England, it sucks. I lived in England for 4 months, and I was not particularly happy with the experience. It's like, oh man, just the amount, and I've spoken with people who live in England who just totally agree with this. Just the amount of red tape involved in anything you do. Like the rules are insane. Like you can't do anything without getting permission from the council. You're like, I want to scratch my butt now. And the council's like, ask us permission first before you go scratching your bottom. Oh, it's ridiculous. I cook as much as possible on charcoal and cast iron. I actually use stainless steel. So this is the stainless steel pan I use a lot. And I just use it like a cast iron, I seasoned it and like don't wash it with soap or anything. I mean, occasionally I'll wash it with soap if I cook something that I really need to wash out. But generally, I just wipe it clean, keep it greasy, totally nonstick and amazing. And then, I live in a saltwater environment, so cast iron would rust. I do have a cast iron pot down here, or a pan. I just don't use it. Let's see. Is this what care in the community looks like? I don't know what you're talking about. Just made an offer on a house in Kentucky. Well, I hope it gets accepted. I hope you get a nice house. We've been arguing about how the pyramids were built for centuries. Far from impossible. Just look at what one man can do in Panama. Do you have a telescope? I don't have a telescope. I do have maybe I have like a really weak telescope thing, but I don't have like a telescope, like a good telescope. Yeah, I have kind of a pretty weak telescope. I own the world's largest seashell collection. Perhaps you've seen portions of it. I keep it strewn on beaches all over the world. Oh, very clever. Classic dude, Mike. Can you own firearms in Panama? Yes. Be well, and stay strong. Thanks, Charles. That's a good message to everyone. I know dragon scales don't need the floors. I mean, okay, maybe you could build some hanging scaffolding from the top and work on it that way. The problem is if the scaffolding is hanging and I'm standing on it, I'm working where the hanging is happening, so that it would get in the way. Like if I build something up from the bottom, then there's nothing in the way up here, and I can work and do all the stuff. But if I'm hanging, it's gonna be complicated. I do keep a rope from the top that comes down that I wrap around my arm just in case anything slips and falls. I can catch myself. But yeah, I don't want anything more hanging like right where I'm trying to work. Were you good at skateboarding? Any tricks? I get kicked out of places still, but it's still super fun. Well, I can do a kick flip. That's the thing where you like do an ollie and the board flips and you land on it. I can do that. Actually, I shouldn't say I can do that. I have been able to do that. I could probably still do that if you gave me like an hour to practice. I wouldn't say I'm great at skateboarding, but I could skateboard. I'm fast. I can go real fast. I'm good at going fast. Oh man. Have you checked out the skateboard park in Bocas yet? I've seen it. I've walked past it, run past it, whatever. But yeah, I don't actually have a skateboard at the moment. So, are you near the guy with the floating island? Who's the guy with the floating island? No, I don't know. Maybe I am. I have no idea. Garbage picking used to be a favorite activity of mine in northern New Jersey. So much cool stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny. Like I would go to like Manhattan or Brooklyn to visit friends, and I'd be like, "Hey, let's go check out the garbage." And one of my friends is like, "Oh, that's dirty. Don't do that. It's disgusting." And my other friend is like, "Oh, you do that too?" He's like, "That's how I got my desk, my bed, my TV, this cool painting on the wall. It's just this stuff people throw away." And then, yeah. Find the land that has the catch you're okay with. This is like buying things from the dollar store. Something is wrong with it, but maybe that something doesn't matter to you, to your use for it. Yeah. Charcoal is bad for plants. Great. Do-it-yourself soil testing video. I don't have any soil testing stuff. Charcoal is amazing for plants equals biochar. Yeah, I don't know. There are always multiple takes on everything. As far as I know, charcoal is pretty good for plants if you do it right, you know. Okay. I have questions about how you built the Vermont dome. If you'd like to tell us about it. Question 1. How was the foundation constructed? Any drainage issues from surrounding slopes, etc.? Well, it was up on a, okay, how do I explain this? There's a cliff, and then there's a little ledge that sloped up, and then another cliff, and then another ledge. Like there was a bunch of ledges, and I built the dome on one, but that ledge also like sloped down this way and like kind of like this way, and then it also went up that way. So water did run down toward the dome, but it just went around it and like there were a lot of ways for water to get down. So there was plenty of drainage. There was no issue with that. How did I build the foundation? Okay. I do have pictures of this. They're on my website, which should be down here. I think it's in the description. This was before I was doing video, but there are pictures. And let's see. First, I found the area that I wanted to put it, and I had to cut out a few trees. And then I dug down till I hit bedrock. And you know, once you hit bedrock, it's like, well, now I'm going to get an amazing foundation. So I hit bedrock, and of course the bedrock wasn't flat, you know, it was like, so I started finding rocks just in the ground around and throwing them into this circle where I was going to build the dome. And I spent 2 weeks just throwing rocks in there. That's all I did all day. And man, this was the most jacked I'd ever been. And I didn't notice it until some friends came to visit and were like, you know, you want to come over for dinner? And I was like, yeah, man. And it was like, you know, right after I'd been working on stuff. They're like, hey, you want to come use a shower? You haven't, you know, you've been working all day. I was like, oh, that would be amazing. So I went, used a shower, and I came out and they had this big mirror. And I was like, oh my God, it's like the Hulk coming out of the shower. Oh, that's me. So then, basically, I just spent 2 weeks just hauling rocks out of the ground and throwing them into this circle. And I was basically moving the biggest rocks I could find because that meant more rocks were available to me. And I kept moving bigger and bigger rocks so I could get more rocks without having to go as far. And then I spent 2 weeks, and I think this is where I got a lot of the muscles for that time. I spent another 2 weeks with a sledgehammer pounding on the rocks. Like that's all I did all day. And I had my hands wrapped with all this cloth because my hands were just really sore. So I had them wrapped with all this cloth to dampen the shock of pounding. But I just spent like 2 weeks just pounding and pounding on these rocks to compact it really well. Because I was like, I want to make sure this foundation is really good. It's the best foundation I've ever made. And then once I'd done all that, I put this thin layer of concrete on top. It didn't need much because it was compacted so hard. And yeah, that was the foundation. And when I did the concrete, I wanted to do the concrete all the way across the whole thing all in one day. So I started really early, and I bought, I think 11 or 12 bags. I think it was 11. I think it was 11 bags of just, cement, just Portland cement. And I had this sandy spot I found on my property, and I was mixing it with that and, a bit of rocky stuff. It wasn't the best mix, but it was good enough. And I worked until after dark, and I had some lights going on. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was doing it with me. She was at the bottom of the cliff, and I would throw a bucket down with a rope attached to it, and there was a spring down there. So she would take a bucket, scoop up some water, and I would throw this bucket down the rope, and she'd pour the water in, and I'd pull the bucket up and use that to, mix the concrete and then put it on. And by the time I had that done, I threw the bucket down. She had another bucket of water ready to go in. One time I pull up the bucket of water and there's a frog in it, like it's a big frog. I'm like, what are you doing? You sent me up a frog? She's like, I sent you up a frog? I'm like, yeah, you sent me up a frog. So I sent the bucket back down, and she poured it back into her bucket and took it and dumped it back in the spring. So the frog got to go back home. But anyway, we got it done at well after dark, and it was a stormy night. And I remember the trees were just swaying, and she and I were just there, just it was like, I don't know, it was like we were on another planet or something, because we had no contact with the outside world. There wasn't any, we didn't have phones on us or anything. I don't know, she might have had her phone. I probably made her turn it off or whatever. But yeah, it was just like we were there, totally present, doing this thing. And finally at 11 at night, I was like, I don't feel like trying to cook anything. Let's just go find some place to eat some food. And of course, everything in Vermont was closed except for McDonald's. So we ate at McDonald's just as they were closing. And yeah, that was a pretty cool day. So I think that's like the last time I ate at McDonald's, because I don't really go to McDonald's. Let's see. Foundation, how is it? Yeah, okay. Since there is so much topsoil on Adventure Builder Island, is it possible to make tree houses or in tree platforms for tents to save the soil quality? Is it possible to make tree houses or in tree platforms for tents to save the soil? So you mean like instead of putting the tent on the ground, because that's going to kill the soil? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of tree houses, unless it's in something like a sequoia, like something that's going to last like 1,000 years. But the trees around here, in a place like this, it's tropical, it's a rainforest. Like life is just happening so much, and trees are growing and then dying and growing and dying constantly. If you built a house or a platform up in trees, there's a good chance one's going to die within the next 10 years, but I could put it on stilts or something. I don't know. Oh, Chris says, I live in UK, and yes, it sucks. Yeah. You guys need to start having some protests. I don't know. Mr. Safety Forever, that's a funny name. Watched you for years. Where do you get so much energy? Take care. Where do I get so much energy? Well, I've done a lot of like endurance training. So in terms of like being able to spend all day, digging or moving heavy stuff or stuff like that, I think a lot of that has to do with just having been an athlete and, doing a lot of running and stuff like that. But just in terms of my motivation, I always think to myself, one day I'm going to die. And when I look back on today, what would I think? And when I think about that, it puts me in a pretty interesting perspective where I'm like, if I waste today, one day I'm going to look back and be like, come on, man, why? Why did you do that? Why did you waste that? And I will want to come back to today and do a better job. So since I'm actually here right now, in today, why don't I just do a good job right now so that one day in the future, I don't have to wish I could come back to fix it. And I that's something I think about a lot, is like, when I'm about to die, will I be happy with what I did today? And I try to make sure that I would be. Are you going to collect signups for the meetup next year? I don't know. I don't know about signups, but if you want to let me know you're coming, that would be great. You don't have to sign up or anything. I was thinking of woofing for a few weeks in Panama to get a lay of the land. I see. Well, I'm not really looking for anyone to help me with anything right now, but I mean, if you write me an email and just give me the basic gist of what you're, what you want to do, what you want to maybe get involved in, maybe some of your basic skills or something. Maybe I'll have something that you come to here, or I might know some people, because I know people around here who have woofers and workawayers and whatever volunteers. But yeah, I mean, and I can't guarantee anything, obviously, but if you send me an email, maybe. I was thinking, let's see, late but here. Arthur, what's going on? You should definitely make a little skateboarding video, would be sweet. Well, I need to get a skateboard first. I totally don't have a skateboard. I haven't had one in years. I kind of want to have one in here though, because I have this big concrete floor, and there's a, well, we call it the running track. There's a way to go around the house, like in a constant loop. And my kids drive scooters around, which I just made out of caster wheels. And I mean, it was really easy to make these little scooters, and they drive around this track on their scooters like maniacs. And yeah, it would be perfect for a skateboard. And yeah, I just don't have a skateboard. I'll have to get one. Where can we get more info on the May meetup? Well, okay, basically, I live in Panama near the town of Bocas del Toro. And next year, the week of May 3rd, I want to have an adventure builder meetup meeting, and it will be that week. So you could come for the whole week, for one weekend or the other weekend. I figure if people are going to come all the way here, they're probably going to want to stay all week. And if you want to come, just email me, let me know. I can give you directions, and we can talk about whatever. Yeah. So yeah, if you actually want to come, just let me know. Do the walkie-talkie saucers, sideways dishes pointed between homes, still work? The walkie-talkie saucers. Oh, you're talking about the whisper dishes. None are set up right now. Oh, I see a mosquito. Oh, wait. There he is. Oh, death. All right. Yeah, I don't have any of those set up right now. Since there are those old pilings underwater and the old packed soil on Cathedral Island, do you know what development used to be there? There used to be, I am aware at least, of 3 houses that used to be on these 2 little islands. And they were all in the water, all 3 islands. And there also used to be no mangroves around these islands. It used to be just beach around. And that wasn't that long ago, like 20 years ago. Are there days where you end up not doing much? And do you feel guilty at the end of the day? I have days where I vegetate, then feel like I lost time. I don't feel guilty. There are days when I don't do like a lot of physical labor. Like I'll find stuff to do inside. Like sometimes it'll be a rainy day and it's just storming outside, and I'm like, all right, let me just find some stuff to tinker with in here, or like make a new propeller, or find something to do. And on those days, I get real antsy because I'm so used to doing a lot of physical activity. If I don't do a lot of like manual labor or running or something, yeah, I feel, yeah, like antsy, kind of like just anxious. This is something that happens to athletes, when you're used to training a lot and you don't train a day because you have to rest or something. It's like, I gotta do something. But I don't feel guilty. If anything, it's more like I'll have days where I'm resting on purpose and I have to force myself to not do a bunch of stuff. Like sometimes it'll be like I'll feel a little injury coming on, and it's like, okay, I haven't taken a day off in like 3 months, and I've been doing all this digging and hard work outside. I should probably take like a few days and just let my body recover, just so I can keep going. And those, yeah, I get really anxious and I really want to do stuff, but sometimes I do force myself to take a rest. But I don't feel guilty when I do. I guess I don't ever not do anything for a day because I just don't feel like doing something. Like I always feel like doing stuff. And a lot of that has to do with having a lifestyle that where I'm in charge of what I'm doing, So I'm not going to choose to get involved in projects that I really don't care about and I really hate. No, it's like all the stuff I'm doing, like I'm really into it, So I don't really have like that lack of motivation where I want to sit around. Let's see, other days. Great talk about the V Foundation, man. Thanks much, the Vermont Foundation. Great. McDonald's here doesn't do the specials, so I haven't ate there in years. Also, the corporate contracts manager attorney daughter has been stalking me for 3 years, threatening to sue me. Okay. Oh, Jaimie, since you do a lot of running, I have been running a lot more recently and was able to do a 2.4 mile run a couple of times. That's cool. What would you say for trying to get to those higher mile counts? Well, there's a bunch of things you got to make sure you do. One, it depends. It depends how old you are, how active you are, what you're doing. Okay, let's say you can run 2.4 miles without having, without spending the next 3 weeks in bed or something. Like, you can run 2.4 miles reasonably. Maybe once a week, do your maximum distance, which is 2.4 miles, and add a little bit every week. Next week do 2.5, 2.7, just increase it a little bit. But you don't want to get too much into a schedule where you're doing the exact same thing. So every once in a while, you might want to just just double it. And then, throw in one where it's like half as far. And I say this because I found that if I do things that are really formulaic, my body will get used to it. And it's almost like I'll get repetitive stress injuries, So throw in some things that you're just not used to. And it just once in a while though, like once every few weeks, do something totally weird. And if you're wanting to run longer distances, make sure you also do some faster stuff. So you don't want to always be training your body to run as efficiently as possible so you can get those longer distances, because then your tendons will get weaker and your muscles will get weaker, and then you'll be more prone to injury. So you also want to throw in, like every week, maybe some sprints, or maybe some longish sprints, just something that's going to put more stress, like more direct physical stress on your joints and your muscles and everything than the goal you're doing. And that's just to basically train your body to also have that physical strength to be able to handle the distances without getting injured. Because the thing is, if you like, say you're running on a track and you run the exact same way, you go straight, you do your corner, you go straight, you do your corner, and everything is like perfect, right? Your body can get so used to that it adapts so perfectly to that you could then run like on a sidewalk, and because you go around a curve that's not the same radius as the track, you could pull a muscle, So it's really important to to keep a variation in what you're doing, not just specifically at your goal. You want to kind of do a little bit more distance sometimes, or a little bit faster, and just vary things so that your body doesn't get used to one specific thing and adapt too much to that exact thing, because that's how you get injured. I don't know if that helps at all. Hopefully it does. You know what? Do some jump rope too. Do some jump rope. It's really good. How many people would be your ideal amount for the camp out in May? I don't know. So I've never set numbers on adventure builder meetings, but they've always been like 10 to 20 people-ish. I'm trying to think. There might have been like up to 25 one time, but it's always been, kind of a reasonable number of people. If 100 people showed up, I would want to know. I wouldn't want 100 people to just show up. Like I definitely want to know. But if 100 people wanted to come, we'd figure it out. I'm planning on building this campground with some cabins, and maybe we'd have to pack people in a little tight and tell people, if you can bring a tent, and get a tally of everyone who can bring a tent and everyone who's going to want to sleep in a different thing, and plan it out and figure it out. It shouldn't be that hard. But I don't know what the ideal number of people would be. 20, 10, 20, 5. I don't know. It's just whoever shows up. I'm more interested in the quality. And I've met some really, really cool people at these adventure builder meetings, like really high quality people. Let's see. Home Planet always loved the idea of tree houses and tree platforms on my forested land, but never built any. Oh yeah, I totally love the idea of tree houses. Like the Ewoks. Oh, so cool. But yeah, it's gotta be in a tree that's gonna at least outlive me. If I'm gonna build a house in it, I don't want to build it in something that's not gonna outlive me. Want to make a small fortune, start with a large fortune and buy a coin shop. What? Jaimie, you have to tell me where in the ocean Atlantis is located. I'm sure you know where it is. I don't know, wizards only. Wizards? You're a wizard, you should be able to find it. I'm web server administrator, so I don't know how useful I would be on a farm, but I suppose I could learn. Let's see, Thomas Spears says, also, since you're a home builder, do you have any advice for building an off-grid cabin? I currently have my foundation finished. Well, this obviously depends on where you are and what the regulations are and everything. But I would say, as much as possible, do whatever you want. Because if you're going to live in the place, you don't want to build some place and have it be the product of what other people told you that you should have done. Because then you're going to be sitting there and be like, why did I even do that? Why didn't I do the thing I really wanted? Do the thing you really want. Like if you want it to be some crazy weird thing, just do that. Like think about what you really want to live in and build that. And of course, it depends on what regulations you have to contend with and whatever, but as much as possible, do the thing that you really want to do. And throw out all the presumptions and all the advice of other people. Do what you think. Let's see, I never feel guilty of not pleasing others. Good. I think it's pretty important to please others in certain situations. Like I want my kids to be happy that I'm an awesome dad. And they routinely tell me that I'm an awesome papa. And that makes me feel good. I'm happy about that. Like I really care that I please them. Although I wouldn't do things just to please them. I think it's important that I do what they need more than just, doing what, but that is, going to please them in the long term. Like if I teach them things they need to learn, even if it's hard lessons, they will be pleased in the long run. Anyway, this is all semantics. The painting studio I built out of thick fallen redwood limbs tied with strong hemp strings and covered with pruned redwood boughs was a great. I was amazed at how soundproof it was. That's pretty cool. Tree houses need to be suspended and able to re-level occasionally for tree growth, unless, of course, you like to be a little crooked sometimes. I always think it's weird when people say things need to be, because like there are a lot of different ways to skin a cat, you know. Anyway, with skinning cats, I'm gonna get off here in a second. I'll just wait and see if anyone else has a last minute question you wanted to ask or comment or something. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get off here, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a drink of water because I've been talking for an hour and a half and I'm thirsty. Let's see. There was a lot of useful hardware out there to build up in the trees. I had a hard pack in a redwood circle by a 2-lane busy highway to build my painting hut on. Didn't take long. Cool. Classic Dude Mike, over and out. All right, I think that's good. Thanks for everyone for showing up, and I hope everyone had a great time and maybe learned a bit of stuff, and I learned a bit of stuff. So thanks for your excellent comments and everyone. And be safe, everyone. It is crazy out there. It is crazy out there. The world is a crazy place right now. And the way to fix it and make it less crazy is to be where you are and fix what you can fix. Change the immediate world around you. Improve the things you can do. Not get too hung up on the things you can't change. All right. I'm going to get out of here.